Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MFFL Nation Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 2. Today with a special guest, Zion, a.k.a. Duke NBA on X. What's going on, my guy?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me.
Nah, for sure. I appreciate you coming on the show. Someone who is very knowledgeable, not just about Duke basketball, but also got to watch a lot of Cooper Flagg this past season and knows a lot about his game, his personality, and everything like that. And really just want to dive into all aspects of how he plays basketball, the person who he is off the court. And this is going to be a fun episode. I'm really excited. But before we get started, just a little brief background about what you do on X with Duke content and everything like that. I'm sure everyone would love to hear.
Yeah, so I've been on, I think, Duke Twitter for at least a decade now. It's crazy. I started, I think, when I was in middle school or high school, and I just started it out of passion, for Duke. I grew up a Duke fan. My brother went to Duke, so it was the first campus I've ever slept on. It was my first experience of really like a college experience, but when I was young. So, naturally, I've always been attached, even when I didn't go to Duke, but, I was still a Duke fan in college. But yeah, that page has been very special to me, just from a standpoint of, obviously I built a large community that, a lot of people just support me consistently now, but a lot of people don't know that page got me started with my actual career. So I've always been very active on there, especially when I was younger. And I was able to build a following fast, and that evolved into like a lot of people following, a lot of people in media following. So when I started looking for internships while I was in college, someone who actually followed the page, I reached out to them. It was like, it was for Complex Media in New York. And I was like, I just applied to this internship, and I, can you do anything to push it through? They they pushed it through. The next day I was in the office, or not even the next day, they basically called me, offered me the internship without an interview, and I got the internship. That internship led to a full-time role where I was at Complex for seven years, manning their sports department. And I've since left past year, but it really jump started my career, and I'm very appreciative of everyone that supported the page.
Oh, that's really cool, man. I love hearing that. What would you say you would rather do? Would you rather be on a Duke coaching staff, or would you rather be working for Complex?
I mean, coaching is stressful though. Like I think maybe from a job security standpoint, I guess coaching is probably a little bit better, just because the media is just so fickle and everything changes so fast nowadays. But yeah, I think my comfortability, I would opt for Complex, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel that, man. But let's dive into Cooper Flagg. Just a quick intro question that I really wanted to ask you is Cooper Flagg is one of the most talked about prospects in years, an American prospect in years. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama was up there. What were your real expectations when he first got to Duke? Do you think he was going to be a player of the year caliber player? Did you think that off the bat he was definitely going to be a number one pick? Some people debated him and Ace Bailey. What were your expectations? And if so, did he exceed them?
I don't think anybody had expectations that he didn't exceed. I think if you expected him to do what he did at Duke, you're lying. I think for me, I knew he was going to be in possibly just like a first team, second team, possible All American. I knew he was special. I've seen at Duke past decade, I've seen a lot of great freshmen, and usually those great freshmen, especially when they're coupled with great classes, they're usually able to lead Duke to deep runs, and they're getting all the accolades, whether it's Paolo, whether it's Zion, whether it's Marvin Bagley. So I knew he would be in that tier. I knew for sure he would be in that tier. I did not expect him to probably go down now as the greatest freshman ever at Duke. Like he he to many have has now passed Zion in that, right. and I think it's fair to say. And I think he exceeded all expectations, at least from a Duke fan standpoint. And unfortunately, they didn't finish the job. But for him individually, it was a special year.
So you are taking him over Zion?
In terms of their seasons at Duke,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm taking him over Zion, the player, like especially going into the NBA. I don't know about that. But in terms of their individual seasons, yeah, I'm taking Cooper Flagg's individual season over Zion's.
I like it. I mean, as a Mavericks fan, who's going to have him? I love hearing that. So I love that. But, after just listening to so many people with Duke expertise, a lot of people are saying that, there isn't one thing that sticks out about his game more than others. A lot of people, when you talk about Steph Curry, the shooting comes up. Or you talk about Luka, it's a step back in the playmaking. When people are talking about Flagg, it really just seems like he's perfect at every facet of the game and that his biggest talent is his versatility. Would you agree on those terms, or do you think there is something that really sticks out compared to every other asset of his game?
I think obviously it's a combination of everything for sure. I think he has very little weaknesses in his game, but I would say the thing that probably sticks out the most with him is just his mentality and his motor. And it's really the intangibles, really like the things you really can't put on paper. And I know it's hard to like quantify that and like compare that, but it's really different with this kid. Like what we saw this year with him, especially starting the season at 17 years old, and just his mindset and his drive and his consistent motor, nonstop motor, you just don't see that. You don't see that often from a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. You don't see it from a 22-year-old. And I think that's really what separates him from most people is, Ace Bailey. And Ace Bailey might be, some people may say he's more as skilled as Cooper Flagg, especially offensively. But where Cooper separates himself is the motor, the drive to win, the obviously the defensive end, this competitiveness. I just don't think any player in the country really matched him on that level, and it was definitely something that put him above the competition for sure.
Yeah, and you bring up coming into college at 17. I actually saw a fun fact today on X from Christian Clark. He said that if Cooper Flagg was born 11 days later than his original birthday was, he wouldn't have been eligible for this year's draft. That's just crazy to put into perspective. I mean, this kid's still 3 years away from experiencing Dallas clubs and bars. But, we see what Cooper Flagg did in conference play. Averaged 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.5 steals, almost 1.5 blocks. Had shooting splits of 54, 44, and 86. I mean, as a 17, 18-year-old, that's just ridiculous. And to be honest, you bring in the fire and the motor that he has. I think that's something that Dallas fans are really going to like. When you see Cooper talking smack, it gives you a little bit of the Luka deja vu that the Mavs fans were able to witness. And we look at the player comps as well. I've seen a lot of player comparisons. Yeah. I've watched a lot of Cooper films since the lottery. I haven't been able to find a player to compare him to just because of how he plays the game of basketball, the way he impacts it in different ways. But I wanted to list off some comparisons I've heard and see what you would agree with most. A Kevin Garnett with a jumper. I've seen Grant Hill. Anthony Davis defensively. Andre Karolinko is a very common one that I've seen.
Yeah.
And a mixture of Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam. Not that he's going to have the same career as them, but the way they play the game is similar.
Now, am I supposed to pick which one I like? Because I don't like any of them. But like,
I thought you would have been interested in the KG with the jumper.
I like that the most of the group because I think people forget also KG out of high school was very skilled. He's a little bit
too skinny.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, obviously I think people remember Celtics. I mean, I feel like the younger generation remember Celtics KG, but Younger KG was moving like a guard, which I think Cooper does as well. And I think they both have similarities in the fact they're dogs and their mentalities. They just want to kill. Like they're competitive. There's no excuses. They're going 200%, 24/7. So I do like that comparison. I think the Andre Karolinko one is lazy. It's been overused at this point. It's not like AK-47 was a monster, especially defensively, what he brought to the table and his versatility. But offensively, I don't think they're even on the same level. I think Cooper going into the league now at 18 is already a better offensive player than AK-47. I'm not going to take for granted that what I just saw in college. I saw this kid drop 42 points in a college game. The last time I saw a person drop 40 points at Duke University, it was JJ Redick. And just think about the years from that 2006 to 2025, how much talent has walked through that door, and nobody has scored 40 points. And I think the closest might have been 36, 37. I know Jared McCain had 36, Zion had 37, and Cooper scored 42 efficiently. It was on like 15 of 18. Like that kid is not a chump scoring the ball, and when he gets to the next level, especially once he adds the strength, he refines his handle a little bit more. Obviously, the jumper has come along. It still has a little ways to go, but at his peak, he's going to be unguardable. There's going to be nothing you can do with him. And I don't think.
Who's your player comparison? If you had to give one,
I don't have one though. That's the thing. Like I've always said that.
He's one of one.
Yeah, I've always said on my podcast, like I think if it's not there, don't force it. And I just don't see. I don't want to force it with anybody because I've seen a lot of people even say Jason Tatum. I don't even see Tatum because I saw Tatum at Duke as well, and I just don't think they compare it at all in terms of their games and what they bring to the table. So it's hard for me to really compare. I hate comparisons. He's Cooper Flagg. He's going to be a special talent, the way he is.
I like it, man. What would you say? What would you say his ceiling is?
Ceiling in terms of resume?
Yep. Is this an NBA MVP caliber player, a potential top 20 player of all time?
I think top 20s. That's a tough feat.
People are saying outside of Wembanyama, this is the best number one overall pick we've seen in a very long time.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean it's hard to say he can't. I think he could be a top 25 player of all time. I think he's built for that. I think he has the mentality for that. But it's really going to be how he comes along, number one, offensively. I think that's going to really determine. I think he's going to be an all NBA defender for sure. And that'll happen soon. I think in at least 3 years.
Wow.
Give him all NBA defender, especially once he starts adding on strength. I mean, at that point, there's nothing you really can do with him. He's gonna be able to guard 1 through 5, pretty much. Depending if that 5 is like Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic, but for the most part, 1 through 5. And I think he's an all NBA caliber player as well. Obviously, MVP it'll be tough. It'll be dependent on the Mavericks and how they construct this roster. He's not going to be an all-star off the bat just naturally. If Kyrie's healthy next season and AD's healthy next season for the most part, and that's going to happen the next 3 years. It'll be hard to squeak out 3 all-stars, especially in the landscape of the NBA today. But
Kyrie won't be an all-star next year. I mean,
he won't be an all-star next year. But will he play next year at some point? Is really the question. But yeah, I think for the most part, it's going to be dependent on the situation, just in terms of how many accolades he can get. Because I mean, we kind of saw with Tatum, it took him, a little minute. Although he jumped into rotation early, it took him a minute to fully say, "This is my franchise. I'm taking over," just because of the landscape they had him walking into Boston. So it'll be a little bit dependent on Dallas as well.
All right, gotcha. And then I also wanted to let you know, I saw on X, shout out Mavs Film Room, Cooper Flagg did comparisons for himself. He was asked the comparison. He said offensively, Jason Tatum, defensively, Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually might have been. I don't think it was our interview when we interviewed him, but not. I think because he's a Celtics fan. Well, growing up, he's a Celtics fan. He's gonna pick Jason Tatum, the Duke connection, the Jonathan Isaac. Sure. I mean, Isaac is a great defender when he's healthy.
Healthy.
Yeah, healthy is always that's a big thing. But yeah, I mean, sure. Offensively, I just don't. I don't fully see Tatum because I think Cooper kind of falls his passing ability and his vision kind of falls under the radar, and I don't think Tatum had that early in his career. Definitely didn't have it enough at Duke. The kid can really pass the ball and play make, and I think that's such a big part of his game offensively, especially being unselfish. That it's hard for me to really see the Tatum offensive comparison there.
Yeah, and you talk about, he has to improve his handle a little bit. The shooting needs to be improved a little bit. You look at the situation he's going into, and you say, okay, he's going to Dallas. He gets to work on his handles with Kyrie Irving and God Sham God, and he gets to work on shooting with Klay Thompson. And even better his defense with Anthony Davis. And it's just, this is the kind of situation I personally feel like all first overall draft picks should want, where you don't have to go to a Utah or a Washington Wizards team where you get there and you're the man immediately. No, you get to learn from some of the greats. I mean, you have 3 Hall of Famers on your team. You're not going to be asked to be the first option going down the court every single time. You're going to have the flexibility to play multiple positions. I truly think, I know I'm a Mavericks fan, but from a non-biased standpoint, this is the best possible situation for him. I truly do think that. And and you look at it too. Kyrie went to Duke. Dereck Lively went to Duke. And I've watched a lot of film, and one of the things that stuck out the most is his chemistry with Malawach. The lob chemistry was phenomenal, and I'm forgetting their pick and pop big.
The pick and pop big.
He didn't play too much.
Talking pick and pop big.
Malik Brown.
Oh, Malik Brown. Oh,
Brown.
Yeah, he wasn't the most pick and pop big, but yeah,
he could shoot it a little.
Yeah, a little bit.
And just seeing the chemistry with the bigs really stuck out for me. I think with Lively, I mean, one of the main reasons he got drafted to Dallas was because of the threat he could be with Luka. And you've seen many people talk about how underrated his facilitating skills are. And I think being able to play with guys like AD, Lively, and Gafford and be able to show off his facilitating skills with those bigs is going to be so nice for him.
Oh yeah. He'll kill it. He'll kill it with Lively, especially. I mean, an AD obviously being the lob threats that they are. But yeah, that was something he really developed over the season. Even Khan Knipple as well. Both of them, just their connection with Malawach. And there was a stretch. I was at the Arizona game courtside for it in the tournament where it was just play after play. Cooper is finding Malawach everywhere on the floor. Cooper's drawing all the attention at that point. I think he had already 20 points in the middle, the second half. And he was just throwing lobs. Every time he drew the defense, just threw it up to Malawach, threw it up to Pat Ngangba. And his IQ and his vision is just it's on another level. It's ridiculous for a kid that young. And I think it's only going to get better as he plays in the league, especially with the spacing of the game and the pace of the game.
Yeah, and we saw a lot in Dallas when it was the Luka and Lively pick and rolls. Lively is phenomenal in those 4-on-3 situations or 3-on-4 situations, the 3-on-2, 2-on-1 situations. So Cooper Flagg, I mean, a lot of the time it was a quick screen, and then Malawach had the decision to make a pass or go up for the dunk. And I think having Lively, who is a phenomenal facilitator, being able to have a guy with Flagg and then being able to kick it out to Klay or PJ or even AD and Kyrie, that's just going to be beautiful basketball to watch. What would you say is the position you would want to see Flagg play the most while he's in Dallas. I mean, I think as of right now, when the team's healthy, he's going to be the starting three.
Hmm.
Jason Kidd went on the DLS Mavs podcast and talked about even sometimes playing him at the two, and then also having the versatility to play at the four, maybe in the years to come, small ball five. So, what would you say would be the best for him?
Yeah, I've always said going into, you could track my wing my tweets. I was at the McDonald's All American practice with Cooper the whole week, and I was always saying Cooper's a wing. And people kind of didn't feel like, nah, they're like, oh, he's a front court player, he's a four, he's gonna be sometimes small ball five. I was like, nah, this kid is a wing. And I think that will be his role on the next level, is being a wing. And I think even more so, in I guess even next year with Kyrie um, out for most of the year. I'm not sure what they're going to do in terms of replacements and just with their guards, but I feel like that he should be playing in a point forward role a lot. I think we saw that at Duke. Like, Duke didn't have a traditional point guard this year. It was Sion James, Tyrese, but the real point guards of the team were Colin Knippel and Cooper Flagg. Like, they created the most off the dribble. They created the most for others. And I think he's best in that role where he's able to create. And I think with all the talent around him, I mean, I feel like it should be easy for him. I like to, play that point forward role on the next level as well. So I love to see him more in a point forward role than anything.
I think he'll definitely have the opportunity. Just seeing what the Mavs rotation will look like. Obviously, with Kyrie probably out, I'd say earliest December, latest February. Um, Flagg's going to have the opportunity to really make a quick impact. And that's sort of where I wanted to go next. Do you think Cooper is the kind of guy that we see in the first few weeks of the NBA regular season, putting up these possibly a 25-5 game? Or do you think this is going to be a player where it takes a little time for him to, get used to his role, get used to scoring the ball in the NBA compared to college?
I mean, I don't think that kid is wired to take time to to be ready. I think he's built to be ready immediately. I think we saw it when he played against Team USA in the scrimmage. We saw him shoot over Anthony Davis on one-on-ones. Like the kid was killing it. I was getting messages while people were at the practice. This kid is crazy. I don't think he's gonna take much time, and I think for him, he's so driven by winning that he's gonna do whatever it takes to win. Like that kid. That's why I'm glad he did land in Dallas. The selfish part of me being a Nets fan, I wanted the Nets to somehow get that, but I knew even if he went to the Nets situation, he's a kid that just wants to win.
Yeah.
He wants to win every game, and it's like the numbers won't mean anything to him if he's not winning. So I think I think we'll see a couple in the first 3 weeks. We could see a game where he has 25 and 7, but I think we also will see games where he has 14 and 7 and 6 and 5. Like he's not going to search for his numbers. He just really wants to win, and he's going to do everything to win the game.
Man, you're getting me hype. You're getting me hype, bro. A topic that's been discussed on Twitter a lot. Cooper Flagg, unreal basketball player. He is coming into a situation where most first overall picks aren't going into. Do you think, even though he's on a team with AD, will play half a quarter of the season with Kyrie, that he'll still be efficient enough and put up good enough numbers to still win the Rookie of the Year award?
Um, I mean, it depends where everybody else is landing and who the competition is. Because I think while he's landing in a perfect situation, others might not be landing in the best situations, and they might end up be putting up a 20 points per game. It might not look the best, but I mean, if people are watching the games, if people are factoring in the context of where he's playing and what he's doing with that team, I think he'll win Rookie of the Year. But again, like I said, that the awards in the NBA are very numbers based.
Yeah.
very numbers based. And the kid is not about numbers. He's about winning. Like,
I love that.
so, if there is someone that is putting up better numbers than him, they may just end up winning rookie of the year. But I think if people are really evaluating and taking everything into play, I think he'll have a good shot to win it.
I think the nice thing too is that you bring in Flagg. He's probably, I would say, even with Kyrie being out, I would expect for him to start at small forward position. It's not like he's going to have to play 35 to 40 minutes a night because your backup small forward, or it's a confusing rotation with what the Mavs have right now. There's probably going to be a trade being made this offseason, but you have a guy like PJ Washington coming in for Flagg, or if PJ's playing the backup four, you have Najee Marshall, who just came off his best year.
Yeah.
So I think just, again, being able to ease into that role, he's not being rushed in a different situation like a Utah, sorry to say it, but a Brooklyn or a Washington, So I think when you look at Flagg and this Mavs team, it's going to be really fun to see for the next 3 to 4 years that they're just going to be competing for NBA finals every single year. He's not going to have to worry about, being a bottom 5 team in their conference and going back to the lottery. I mean, this kid's going to get playoff experience very, very early in his career. And I think that's going to translate to, because I'm being very optimistic when I say this, I think this is a franchise player, and I think he'll be a Maverick until he retires. I hope so, at least. So being able to, when Kyrie and AD retire, being able to know what it's like to be the number one option and replace their roles is going to be so great for him to learn right now. And that's the most exciting aspect for me, at least. I got to ask this question because I've been really curious. I've been asking a lot of people. At this point right now, would you say his offense is more elite or his defense? Because I feel I really can't tell. I really can't, because they're both just.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the narrative going into Duke before even the USA camp, before even the high school summer all-star circuits, was Cooper's defense was ahead of his offense. But I think that was kind of quickly that ended in college. I mean, like I said, the kid had a 42-point game in college. He had a 30 ball in the Final Four. Yeah, it was. I think his offense is ahead of his defense at this point, especially with the fact that defensively now going to the next level, the talent is a little bit different than he's seen in the past. Not that he's incapable of slowing down the offensive players in the league, but the league now is at a point where defense may not even matter. A guy may get 30 regardless of who's on him. I would say his offense might be a little bit more impactful going into the league right now.
What would be your most exciting attribute that you're excited to see him play with on the Mavs? Is it the shot creation? Is it the playmaking? Is it the defense? What do you think is going to stick out the most for Mavs fans? And also, what are you most excited to see him do on the court in the NBA?
I mean, for me, I'm most excited to watch him play with spacing, NBA spacing, and pace. I think it's going to be way different from college, and I think he was great in college. Duke was one of the best shooting teams in the country. They played with a little bit of pace. They played with a great spacing. They had great ball movement, but the NBA is a different level in terms of pacing and space. And I think he's going to benefit so much from it, especially getting downhill. The whole offensive aspect, I'm excited to watch him because I feel like he has a lot more to show too. And I feel like he's built for the next level. So I'm excited for the whole offensive repertoire.
Likewise, and I was actually talking to a buddy about it. It's like you could really run the most lethal zone with this team if you wanted to go big, because when Kyrie got hurt, Najee Marshall was playing the 1. So you could really put Najee at the 1, Cooper at the 2, and then your bottom 3 are PJ, Lively, and AD. It's like there's there's nothing you could do in that kind of zone. And I do think, I mean, we've seen it a lot in the NBA playoffs this year. A lot of teams are starting to play zone.
Oh yeah,
A lot of teams are starting to play more zone, and I think that's just, I mean, it's an underrated topic that no one's not really going to talk about. But
yeah,
I think having Cooper Flagg on your team and wanting to run zone meshes so well together, and I think that's
yeah,
just another small tidbit that's going to be
yeah.
fun to see.
It's small, but I mean, for them, I think if you have Lively and AD back there, don't even play zone. like go man. AD can guard any perimeter player he wants in the world, so I'm not even worried. Cooper can switch on to anybody. Lively's pretty good, from at least what I haven't seen much of him last year, but from what I've seen in his career, he's been pretty good at switching. But that didn't myself. I didn't even think about that defensive aspect of having AD and Lively back there with Cooper just roving. Cooper can fly all over the court and make plays. Like if he has two shot blockers behind him, it might get scary. He's gonna gamble a lot more because he can, and he's going to help a lot more too as well. The kid with those two on the defensive end, it might be real special. It might be real special.
People haven't really talked about it, but I truly think this is me being biased. I do think this is the best defense in the NBA next year. I really do. If AD is healthy and Dereck Lively can stay healthy, big D Live fan, but he has been, had his fair share of injuries.
For sure.
I just don't. It's hard to not imagine that. I mean, there's going to be times where Cooper, Lively, AD are on the floor, possibly a PJ on the floor as well. And if not, I mean, Kyrie's not a great defender. He's not a bad defender. He's a solid defender. Klay Thompson used to be an all-NBA defender. He still can move his feet solidly well. I would say the floor is a top 5 defense. It's insane. All these guys' wingspans, their shot blocking. I mean, Cooper Flagg's timing is really what stuck out to me the most. The timing on shot blocks, when to get into the passing lanes. It's scary hours in Dallas.
I don't know. I can't recall a defense having 3 elite shot blockers. I don't know. I can't recall any defense having that, and that's what they would have in Dallas right now. So, it'd be crazy. It would be crazy.
It's going to be fun, man. But I appreciate you coming on the pod, my guy. It was a great episode. I think Mavs fans are really excited for Cooper Flagg to be a Maverick, and this definitely gives him some more intel on the type of player that he is. So I appreciate you coming on, my guy.
For sure. Appreciate you having me.